Hello everyone, welcome to Trucksim channel. Today we are in another episode of our podcast. I call it Trucksim Podcast, and here we'll talk about one of the aspects of truck simulator games realism, connection between real life cities, roads and landscapes with their game representation. And we'll talk also about scale of the game and also um, trying to answer the question why developers doesn't just recreate a real world in Euro Truck Simulator 2 or American Truck Simulator. Since our games ATS and ETS2 are kind of simulation games, and it's geographically linked to real cities, real countries. Lots of players waiting for simulation of whole process of truck driving. But in reality, our favorite games are still mostly arcade games by nature, because we don't still have real trucks physics, change of day and night cycles. We don't have seasons. Economic game economics is very simplified, very disbalanced. For example, in 1 week, you can be a millionaire with dozens of own trucks and one problem where we can spend our money. So owning a company, transportation truck company with 50 employee, we still have to work as a driver, and so on, and for sure, the map is actually is just a symbolic representation with fictional scale and conditional cities and highways. Here we don't talk about mod maps, attempting to make landscape more realistic and even in real one-to-one scale. But that's just a drop in the bucket, because vanilla maps, the maps available from developers. So vanilla map means available from developers in base or DLCs. These maps cover numerous countries in Europe, 36 countries for the moment of the video in Europe, and 16 states in the US, including Arkansas, upcoming Arkansas. And scale of the game actually variable. For example, in ATS it's 1 to 20. In ETS2 is 1 to 19 in Europe, in most Europe, but in the UK it's another scale, 1 to 15, and for cities it is just 1 to 3, so bigger scale. And it's not only about length of the road, but also time scale, and time scale is based on the type of the road. So city roads and gas stations have the slowest time scale. Secondary roads have a faster time scale. Highways have the fastest time scale. So time scale isn't directly tied to physical scale. But still, one of the negatives and controversies of both games is scale and absence of small towns, villages, real life landmarks. Some players complains realism of metro areas and wish real streets. Even if it sounds absurd, because trucks usually cannot drive on, for example, Piccadilly Circus or Champs-Élysées, and probably for most of us it is not so important to see authentical small streets of One Horse Town, Wisconsin, or El Armpito, New Mexico. Even if people from those areas will relate with the game better. Another argument is that with the mission of certain roads doesn't accurately simulate certain trucking routes. What about one-to-one scale? Is one-to-one scale map of the world, if it possible, would be a good idea? Probably no, because one-to-one is too large and need to build manually for a small developing team like SCS. For instance, amount of developers building Texas in 1 to 20 are about 30. This information from Pavel Seber, and it's still taking over 3 years to finish. So to build a one-to-one scale Texas in the same time frame would be about 1,000 people or 2,000 people, or man hours. Yeah. Also, we need millions of models, thousand roads, and even with the current Google Maps or other data sources, the map will not be fully accurate. Actually, we know one game that is one-to-one and landscapes with procedural generation of cities and based on real Bing maps. It is Microsoft Flight Simulator, which released in 2020. Their map wasn't built manually. But that game has a lot of problems, such as dysfunctional buildings, bad AI, and bear in mind that Microsoft Flight Simulator can use that technique because the map is background scenery viewed far from distance from the plane. The only thing to be seen nearly with the details are airports and airfields, and that is something that can be feasibly modeled by traditional way. And for sure, those techniques doesn't work for a close foot on the ground point of view that SCS games have. AI is cool. AI, machine learning, is cool, but it is still making lots of mistakes, and it's still very expensive because of machine resources need to be used to generate that content. And I am sure that Microsoft has much more human resources and financial resources than SCA software has. So theoretically, if we combine Microsoft Flight Simulator and Truck Simulator, any of Truck Simulator, we would get a one-to-one scale world driving map, but it's very unlikely on current game engine and on current game machines of the players, because you can watch on the flight simulator requirements. It's much higher than truck simulators we have. Another point that people who want one-to-one maps forget about time scale aspect and do not understand how boring it would be. In some regions it can get incredible monotonous when you have been on the same stretch of motorway for 6-8 hours before you have to exit and rest. To give an example, would you be okay with playing the game for 9 hours and you only have done one trip from Copenhagen to Stockholm? One-to-one maps are feasible in small scale, like for example Grand Utopia map, because it's fictional and are filled with numerous eye candy. But unfortunately, the real world, not that much eye candy on a 6-8 hours trip. So it is another reason, lack of interactivity. If we could do more, things would be far more interesting. But actually, it's already another story. What are your thoughts on these topics? Do you prefer longer, more realistic journeys with real-time scale, or do you find the current game condition satisfactory? Please tell me in comments or on my Telegram channel. Thank you for watching. Happy dragging. Goodbye.